So, good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss a DSA problem, which states the description of which is left rotate an array by one place. Okay. So yes, this is one of the question from the Strivers sheet. So let's start. I have this array, right? The elements in this array are given as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now left rotating this array by one place means that I'll be moving all the elements of this array to the left side by one place every time, right? So like the second index will move to the left side of it would be make the moving the second element to the left side by one position will make the element come to the array of 0. Okay, the element of this element, the third element of the array, when will be rotated to the left side by one place, then it will come to the second index of the array, right? So vice versa, like so on, this will happen till 5. Okay, till the fifth element, when we will rotate the fifth element to the left hand side by one place, then it will come to the fourth element, or you can say the third index, right? So now what will happen to the first element? First element will be left rotated towards the last element. Okay, the first element of the array will be moved to the last element then. So what can be the code? The final answer for this, the array should look like this. That is your 2, 3, 4, 5, and the one that was present in your first element of the array would come to the last, which would make it the final answer of the array. So what approach can we follow over here? So to solve such a question, what we can actually do is see what is the first of all we'll observe. Okay, what are we supposed to do, right? So over here we just have to rotate every element except the first element to the left hand side by one place, and we have to move the first element to the last element. That is the only two things that we are required to do, right? So these are the only two things, like literally these are the only two things that we are required to do, right? So now what will happen is, what kind of code can we write for it? Let's discuss about that. Since we have to transfer this first element to the last element, so we can store this first element into some variable. So let's take a variable. I'm just writing a pseudocode. Okay, so it is not a language specific you can say tutorials or the guidance. It will not be language specific. I will be sharing all the pseudocodes in terms of I will be sharing all the pseudocodes of the pseudocodes of my every question. So yeah, so from here temp, okay, we will store the first element of the array, that is your array of 0, which over here is equal to 1, right? But since we are talking about a general condition, so we will store array of 0th element. Array with the index 0 will be stored in the temp variable. Then next, for loop. Okay, we will take a for loop, because we'll have to iterate the array from the first index, that is from the second element of the array to the last element of the array, right? Because we have to move it to one place, left side of the current position of their current positions, right? Am I right? Yes, I am right. Now what will we do exactly? So for I equal to 1, we'll start the iteration, okay, from the first place, because from the second place, sorry, yeah, from this second place, that is the second element of the array. We will not start it with the first element, we will start it from the second element, because the first element is definitely going to come to the end of the array, right? But the second element is the point where we'll start rotating the array towards the left hand side, right? So for int I equal to 1, I less than your array dot length, right, and your I plus plus. उसके बाद फिर what we will write over here is, what should be the condition, that starting from the first element of the array, the first element of the array, the first element of the array will now be storing array of I minus 1 value, right? Is this correct? Is this correct, guys? No, it is not. Why is it not correct? Tell me. Okay, you can share in the comment sections also. This statement is not correct, because what we are actually trying to do is, to store the the first, the 0th index, to store the first element of the array, to store the first element of the array, to store the first indexed element, right? Which actually means the second element of the array actually. So we are trying to store the second element of the array to the first element of the array. So this condition so says that you are going to store the first element of the array into the second element of the array, right? This is what we are trying to say. For example, if I'll say let's take I is equal to 1, right? So I equal to 1 would be equal to a of 0. So what we are trying to do over here is, this is the second element of the array and this is the first element of the array, right? So this statement states that you have to store the first element, the second first element of the array into the second element of the array, right? This is the second element and this is the first element. So this condition is not correct, right? Why? Because we are assigning the first element of the array into the second element of array. But what we actually want to do, what we are not second element of array, but we are storing the first element of the array into the second, you can say the index of the array, that is the one index of the array, right? But what we actually wanted to do was, we wanted to store the what we actually want in reality, what we really want is that we have to store the not general case. This is not the general case. When I is equal to your 1, तब की बात कर रहे हैं अभी के लिए. We have to store the array of 1 into the 0th index, right? हमें तो ये चीज करनी है, हम लोग ऊपर उल्टा कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. So what the statement should be over here, it should be array of I minus 1 में भाई तुम लोग क्या स्टोर करो, array of I को स्टोर कर दो अब, right? Now this is what makes sense. Why? Because array of I minus 1, if the I की वैल्यू तुम्हारी 1 है, array of I minus 1 क्या हुआ तुम्हारा, array of 0, और ये equal to array of 1 हुआ. This means कि भाई जो तुम्हारा array of 0 है, please store the value of array of 1 into the array of 0 element. This is what we actually wanted from the starting onwards ना, कि तुम्हारा जो first element है उसकी वैल्यू प्लीज इस वाले इंडेक्स के अंदर स्टोर कर दो. So this is the correct statement, this is the correct statement and this is not the correct statement. ये है सही statement, ये नहीं है. So we have to be aware of whatever we are writing, ठीक है? Whatever we are writing, we must know the logic behind it, instead of just learning it and you can say memorizing it like a theory. We should know the logic that we are going to use behind it. So this is not the correct statement, this is the correct statement. There is just a difference of only, I guess 1 to 2 variables. ठीक है, यहाँ पे I minus 1 नहीं है, यहाँ पे उसकी बजाय I minus 1, और यहाँ पे I minus 1 इस साइड है और यहाँ पे I है. But this completely changed the the trajectory, the path of the whole question. So we need to know the logic behind the questions, right? So this is the case now, right? कि a of I minus 1 में हमारा अब a of I स्टोर होएगा, एंड उसके बाद फिर हमारा लूप बंद हो जाएगा, एंड इसके बाद फिर हमने एट द एंड क्या करना है, हमने जो ये ऊपर टेम्प के अंदर हमने हमारा जो फर्स्ट एलिमेंट ऑफ द एरे स्टोर किया था, इसको अब हमने लास्ट एलिमेंट में भी स्टोर करना है. ठीक है, हमें लास्ट इंडेक्स में स्टोर करना है. तो उसके लिए हम लोग क्या करेंगे, उसके लिए हम लोग करेंगे दैट एट योर एरे की जो लेंथ है, ठीक है, अब एरे की लेंथ अगर तुम्हारी कितनी है, अगर एरे की लेंथ तुम्हारी 5 है, इफ द लेंथ ऑफ द एरे इज इक्वल टू 5, तो उसका जो लास्ट एलिमेंट होगा उसका इंडेक्स क्या होगा, लास्ट एलिमेंट का इंडेक्स क्या होगा, 4 होगा. तो यहाँ पे एरे की लेंथ हमारी 5 थी, उसमें से लास्ट इंडेक्स कितना हो जाएगा, एरे डॉट लेंथ -1 इक्वल टू हमने क्या कर देना है, टेम्प. व्हाट इज योर टेम्प? टेम्प इज द वैल्यू ऑफ द फर्स्ट एलिमेंट ऑफ द एरे, राइट. सो यहाँ पे हमने टेम्प कर देना है, तो इसके अंदर हमारा क्या स्टोर हो जाएगा, एरे ऑफ 0, एंड द एरे ऑफ 0 की वैल्यू यहाँ पे क्या है, 1 है भाई. ठीक है, so this is the solution of your question, this